What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Power Book 4 Force. This is Season 1, Episode number 4, you guys. And this episode was titled Storm Clouds, you guys. So, before we go ahead and jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not subscribed to the channel, I'm gonna need you guys to do me a big, huge favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys can do me that favor by liking the video, turning on your notifications, subscribe to the channel, sharing the video. All right, you guys, so with that out the way, without further ado, let's discuss Power Book 4, Force, shall we? All right, you guys, so I think I want to start up with the Flintons. Let's talk about Claudia, let's talk about Victor, and let's talk about Walter, right? So we see Claudia. Now, we all know Claudia has this drug, right, that she wants to, sell, make a profit from, right? Because we know she's tried to, pitch it to Vic. She tried to pitch it to Walter, but she's gotten shot down, right? So we see Claudia, she's at this club, and she's meeting this guy named Reggie, right? So she gives Reggie the project. Reggie, takes a little whiff of it, and he was like, oh, shit, this is good, right? And she says, okay, so if we do business with each other, right, what you cannot do is you cannot tell Walter, nor can you tell Victor, anything about this, right? So he pays for the product up front, right? And she leaves. And when she leaves, we see as she's been, pictures are being snapped of her by Liliana. We'll talk about why Liliana was taking pictures of her a little later in the review. So then, then we see Uncle Paulie, right? So Uncle Paulie, he's at a bridge, right? And, looks like there's a lot of homeless people or people who are strung out on drugs, right? So he goes up to his son named Andre. He gives Andre some stuff, and Andre's like, give me some money, Dad. And, Paulie was like, I'm not going to give you any money until you go to rehab. But reluctantly, he gives Andre some money, and he leaves, right? So then we later see Claudia. So the young lady that she's been hooking up with, her name is Mai, right? And Mai brings out the supply to her, and Claudia was like, is this it? Is this all we got, right? Because if this is it, we're going to tap out really quick, right? So she says, who is the cook behind this, right? Mai says, it's me. Claudia was like, do you want to start this relationship out bad? Tell me the truth. Who really cooked this, right? So she tells her that she has a chemist. So then we see Victor, right? So Victor is at home, and, Walter is going off on him about a deal, which, like I said, we'll discuss a little bit later about what happened between Victor, Diamond, and Tommy, right? But Walter is going off on Victor about this deal that went awry between Diamond, Tommy, and himself, right? So he's upset with, Vic for trying to work with Diamond and with the Yardies. And, when you look at both Victor and both Claudia, with Walter should watch his back, right? Because both of them are going to eventually rebel against him. That's just what I see. I just see that both Victor and Claudia are going to rebel and do what they want to do. We already see Claudia's doing it, right? But Claudia is keeping it a secret right now. So then we later see Victor as he got pulled over by, he said Seamus, right? So the guy that he has on his payroll. And he's asking him, why were you with Diamond? And what was your business dealings with the Yardies? And Victor's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, run that by me. Diamond. He said, Samson? Did you say Sanford? So he's playing like he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, right? And so he's just like, he's saying to the cop that, on that cop salary, you can't take care of your sister, but with the money that I'm giving to you, you're able to take care of her. So what is she gonna do if you are, out of commission, either unlived or behind bars? So cop ain't got nothing to say, right? So then later in the episode, we see Victor. He is with Gloria. He's at Gloria's bar. He's helping Gloria out, right? So then he sees this napkin, and he takes the napkin and he says, you still got this? She says, Victor, it is just a napkin. He says, this is our dream house. She ain't paying him no attention with that, right? So then we see Claudia and Mai, they're with the chemist. And basically, in a nutshell, what they're doing is they're blackmailing the chemist, right? Because remember, in last week's episode, they talked about the fact that The drugs that Claudia has, they were supposed to be like a diet pill, but I guess she went, I guess at some point in the process that, she falsified documents, right? And she didn't tell people. So that's what they're doing. They're using the evidence that they have against her to blackmail her into cooking this drug up for them. And that is pretty much all that we have right now for the Flynn family. So we're going to go ahead and just get into the rest of the episode, you guys. So let's talk about Gennard real quick. When it comes to Gennard, Gennard is an interesting character, right? Because we know the issue with Gennard. Gennard ran CBI for 15 years while, Diamond was in prison, right? So Gennard has an issue with relinquishing control of the organization, the business, to his brother. He still wants to be in charge. He still wants to have a say-so about what is done with, CBI, right? So it's going to be a whole conflict between Gennard and with Diamond, right? So we see Gennard. So Gennard and is his name Elijah? You guys correct me in the comment section. Who's played by Jeremiah, right? So they're in the shop now. When they were in the shop, I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I didn't understand what that scene was. So I can't really tell you what that scene was because it was just it was just a little bit confusing for me. So I can't really tell you what it was. But Elijah was really nervous the entire time that they were in the shop, right? And here going back to what I just said a few minutes ago, the issue with Gennard is Gennard doesn't want to relinquish the power, the control to Diamond, right? Because Gennard says that he gave up his dreams 15 years ago when Diamond went to prison because Gennard had plans of going to college, doing better with his life, but his plans got derailed because his brother went to prison and he had to then run the business, right? So then a kid named D comes in, right? And not Diamond, but Gennard is talking to him and he's asking him like, hey, I need some soldiers. I need some smart soldiers. He's like, oh yeah, I got this dude. I got that dude. I got this dude. Da 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 da. Right. So he's telling him who he got. But then he's thinking, he's like, yeah, you don't need to think about that. Like, let me let you bring me the bodies. I'll work on their minds. Honestly, you guys, when it comes to Diamond and Gennard, like I've been saying, we can see who the brains of the operation is, right? The brains of the operation is not Gennard, it's Diamond. Because Diamond is the brains of the operation. It's Diamond, not Gennard. Gennard may have plans that he wants to execute, but his plans are not the best, right? So then after the situation happened, like I said earlier, I'm gonna explain what happened between Diamond, Tommy, and Vic, right? So after that situation happened, we see that Diamond is, telling Gennard what happened, right? And Gennard's like, so you gonna go with them two white boys when I had the same plan, right? And Diamond was like, you were trying to penny and you were trying to nickel that shit. Like I'm trying to, basically in a nutshell, what Diamond was saying to him is, you had a small plan, right? I had this big, huge plan in place that I want to do. So that's where you and I differ, little brother, right? And I do want to talk about the guy D that, Diamond was asking. Now, why do I keep saying Diamond? D, the guy that Gennard was talking to about having the soldiers, right? We saw him later as him and some of his guys pulled up to JP's, bar, right? They were gonna light the place up, right? But one of his guys like, nah, let's rob this motherfucker, right? So I'm wondering if D knows that JP is his father, right? Because he doesn't want to shoot anybody. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. Because when JP came out with the baseball bat, the kid pulled a gun on JP, and the kid, he shot out a light pole, right? And a woman in the background, like, I'm calling the motherfucking cops, right? So I'm just wondering, like, does that kid know that JP is his father, right? And I'm wondering what his mother told him, because you guys remember that JP told us that when he came out, that's when the mother didn't want him around the son anymore, right? So I'm wondering, I think he might know that that's his dad, and I'm wondering just what does he know about his father, right? And that also goes into play with Diamond, right? Because like I just said a minute ago, when it comes to Gennard has plans, right? But his plans are dumb at best, right? He wants these soldiers, but it's kind of like what Diamond said in episode number 2, was it? When he had them niggas in the shop and Tommy came in there, right? These are some headstrong ass little kids, right? You want to do business with kids? Like, it's going to cause more problems than you actually need, right? So, what the fuck? And it's really stupid, right? So, at the end of this, I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to all play out between Diamond and Gennard. But we'll see as the season goes along. But we're going to pause here and we're going to move forward. All right, you guys. So now let's start up with Tommy, right? So this episode, we open up and see Tommy and Gloria. Tommy and Gloria are getting it in on the kitchen counter. I was like, ew. That's why I don't do potlucks, because I'm like, ew. I just would never have sex. Never mind. Because I'm about to, well, no, I didn't have sex on a kitchen table or anything. Well, it was a table, but that's neither here nor there. It was a picnic table. That's neither here nor there. Why am I telling y'all my business? But Tommy and Gloria getting it in, right? He got thirsty. He said, you got Gatorade or something? She's like, I got something even better. So she grabs a glass of water, turns the sink on, and gives him Chicago's own tap water. So then we see him. He goes back to where Liliana is. He goes back to his crib and Liliana is there, right? She says, you got anything to eat? She says, I'm hypoglycemic. He says, what the fuck does that mean? She says, if I don't eat something, I'll die. He says, here. He throws her a pack of gum. She says, gum. He says, yep, just saved your life. So then they go and sit down and they're looking at the map, right? And she's like, so I would think you'll be looking at an exit plan now that your plans with, Walter and Diamond have been fucked up. He says, man, they really weren't fucked up, just a wrench in the plans, right? So then he's looking at the map and he's talking about the Yardies, right? And she's like, I wouldn't do business with the Yardies, right? She's telling him about how a deal went awry and, basically unlived a guy. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, it was his nephew. He said, shit happened, basically, right? So then he's talking to her about Claudia, and she's telling him, like, hey, with Claudia, from what I know, Walter won't let Claudia anywhere near the business, right? So then he tells her to follow Claudia, and that is the reason why in the episode she was following Claudia, taking pictures of Claudia and sending them to Tommy, right? So then we see Tommy. Tommy went down to this diner and he met up with Diamond, right? So Tommy is asking Diamond, so like, hey, are you and I good? Like, what's up with us, right? Diamond's like, hey, it's all good, right? Yeah, I ain't got no issues with you. He's like, he doesn't hold on to things, right? But he forgives, but he doesn't forget, right? So then Diamond asks Tommy, so are you here to collect on that market, right? And Tommy was like, yes. He says, there's a way for money to make money. And then Vic comes into the shop, into the diner, right? And when Vic came, he was like, you invited this motherfucker? And he was like, hey, let's hear him out, right? So Vic is telling them that, what he wants to do is he's been trying to talk to his father and tell his father, like, hey, business, we got to make some changes around here, right? Like, we got to diversify. We got to, kind of mix and mingle and work with different people if we want the business to continue to thrive and to flourish, right? So they're going to hear him out. So basically, in a nutshell, he tells them he wants to join forces with them, right? So Tommy is like, well, it's us three. So it's kind of uneven right about now. So this is Tommy's way of introducing in the Yardies, right? So then we see as, Vic, Diamond, and Tommy, they are meeting up with the Yardies, right? But Diamond got a phone call from Elijah, and Elijah's like, hey, I don't know who did it, but somebody has tipped the cops off about, the Yardies, right? So we hear the sirens, wailing, and then we see some of the dudes from the Yardies coming through on their truck, right? And they're being chased by the police, right? So then we see Seamus, the guy who works for Victor, right? but he went to Diamond's shop. You guys remember that, right? So both Victor and Diamond noticed him, right? And Diamond's like, I've saw him before. And then later Victor asked him, so was he the cop that arrested you? Like, Diamond's like, no, he's too young. But, Victor's like, well, you know what? He's on my payroll, so we were all good, right? So then we see Tommy and Victor, they're in the car together, right? So Victor tells Tommy, like, hey, I gotta make a stop somewhere. He's like, what? He's like, I'll buy you a drink when we get there. So they pull up to Gloria's bar, right? So he just lets the cat out the bag, like, hey, I know that you fucking Gloria, right? And Tommy's like, I'm fucking your girl and you still want to do business with me? Like, do you get off on that shit? Like, what is it? Basically, he still wants to make money, right? He just because what they got going on, he's saying it's short term and he still wants to make money with Tommy. And on top of that, he ain't trying to take two to the motherfucking dome behind, not knowing where Tommy stands. Tommy's like, your head is funny shaped. Only need one. So then we see Tommy, right? So he's talking to Gloria and he's thanking Gloria for showing him around Chicago. But at this point, he's going to have to find another bar to frequent, right? So then when Tommy leaves out, Walter's outside of the bar and Walter's like, Tommy, that accent was terrible. He's like, he's, that wasn't even, Irish. We're going to stop. But he pulled up on Tommy, right? He's telling Tommy, like, so, you doing business with my son. Stop. Don't drag my son into this, right? Because if you drag him down with you and all the shit that you got going on, I'm going to come down and put all the force and power onto you, basically, right? So he's threatening Tommy. And I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily scaring Tommy, but hey, we'll see, right? So we're going to pause here, you guys, and we're going to move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, we see Liliana, right? Now, I don't necessarily know where the fuck Liliana was, but wherever Liliana was, these two dudes showed up on her, right? And they beating the shit out of her, basically, and asking for their drugs, right? And she's telling them she doesn't have their drugs, right? So then we see another scene where she is being suffocated with a bag. I'm like, damn. You do realize, and I'm thinking to myself, like, you do realize if you suffocate the life out of Liliana, you're never going to see your drugs again. So I was like, what the fuck is the purpose in this, right? And I noticed that these guys had accents and they were speaking in a different language. I was like, I'm like, I wonder if we know these guys, right? So then one of the guys, he lit a cigar, right? He took the cigar and he burned Liliana. I was like, ooh, shit, I know that freaking hurt. But she was like, my father, he used to smoke cheap ass cigars too. And that reminds me of it. So then the guy took the cigar and he put it toward her eye. At that point, she was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll give you your drugs, right? So while this is happening to Liliana, we see Tommy. So Tommy is, he's introduced to JP's father by the name of Herman, right? So, Herman is looking at Tommy like, yeah, you definitely got Kate's eyes. What the fuck else do you have from Kate? He was like, that's where the similarities with me and Kate end, right? So, they're talking, we find out that Herman was 17 years old when JP was born. So I'm wondering the question of who's older? Because at one point I thought Tommy might have been older than JP. But now I'm starting to think that maybe JP is older than Tommy, right? They never said how old Kate, they haven't said how old Kate was when JP was born, right? But I can only assume she was a teenager, right? If he was 17, I would hope, we know Kate Kate is a lot of things, but I hope Kate wasn't that type of person, right? But yeah, so JP's father was 17. He talks about, how hard it was raising JP. And, like I said, he wanted to know what else Tommy got from Kate. He's like, I ain't got shit else from Kate. He's like, I don't even see it for Kate at this point. Like I keep saying, I really do hope at some point we see my nigga Kate, because y'all know I fucks with Kate, right? So, while Tommy was with Herman and JP, That is also the same time that Liliana had texted him, right? And she texted him about, bringing Ghost with him, right? So he got the text message. He dipped out, right? Herman is still, when you look at Herman, you can tell that Herman has a little bit of a side eye for Tommy in this situation. And rightfully so. Tommy, they just found out about Tommy, right? And Tommy just found out about JP, but technically this ain't got nothing to do with Tommy or JP or even Herman. This is really a Kate issue, right? And I get being leery, and I get being leery, and I get being apprehensive, right? But Tommy's not the bad guy. The true bad guy is that bitch Kate. Like, let's be real. Kate is the motherfucking problem. Because even JP said he asked his dad when he found out about Tommy, like, what kind of mother could leave her child? He says, ain't shit mother, basically, right? And Tommy agreed. Kate ain't shit, which we all know. Kate ain't shit. Kate is a fucked up person, right? We know Kate. We know Kate very well. And Kate is only about self, right? Kate is only about self. Again, like I keep saying, I really do hope that we see Kate at some point in this series, because how can we talk about Kate and she not pop up, right? We know, we remember from from the original Power. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, you guys can get down in the comments section and let me know. In the original Power, when Ghost died, right, he had that will. He left Tommy something, right? Because him and Tommy had gotten back on track. He just didn't leave Tasha, Tariq, and them nothing, because he left Kate something, right? I know he left Kate something because she was gleeful about it to Tommy about her son. I still find that hilarious, the fact that Kate loved Ghost as if he were her own son, but the whole time this heifer had a whole ass literal black son out there. Girl, Kate, you got some explaining to do. Like, at the end of the day, Kate, your raggedy ass got a lot of explaining to do, right? So, moving back over to Liliana, right? So we see Liliana, she's in the back seat of, the car with these guys, right? And one of them, the driver, is asking for her phone, right? So he's reading a text message. He asks her, who is Ghost? Now, before that, they're talking about their boss, who's a she, right? And they're like, she'll probably be a little happy to know that Tommy Egan is around, right? They were speaking in their language, but he said Tommy Egan, and Liliana's ears kind of perked up a little bit, right? So, where am I? Okay, I know where I'm at. So we're gonna keep it. So yeah. So Tommy came and popped them, right? Popped that one. Liliana, I don't know if that was a piece of glass that she got, because she was just sticking this one dude in the neck, right? So then she and Tommy, they pushed the car into to the lake, right? So they left. So then we see she and Tommy, they went back over to Diamond's barbershop, right? So Diamond and Gennard are there. So what's gonna happen is Gennard's gonna babysit Liliana, and Liliana was like, oh, cocksucker, where's my money? So Diamond and Tommy are walking, right? And Diamond and Tommy are talking about business, right? Liliana swears up and down she didn't know that, when she stole those drugs, that she stole them from some Serbs, right? And so like I said, Liliana, she's being babysat by Gennard. So they're talking at one point, and she still wants her money. He's talking about her scar. She's like, pay me my money, I'll let you touch it, right? So then we see him at one point. He paid her, her money, because he wants to know how she knows Tommy. Tommy told Diamond how he knows Liliana, because Diamond asked, you hitting that? He says, nah, she used to work for me and my old partner, right? And, that scar, he just felt like she would be a liability. He wanted her unlived, but his partner, he was like, spared her life. He was like, yeah. And it's been biting me in the ass ever since, right? So they're talking about the Serbs, right? And it wasn't until this point that I finally remembered who we were just dealing with. Jason from the final season of the original Power. The one who thought he had Ghost by the balls, right? But they eventually took Jason out, right? So then they're talking about who their boss is. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. We'll get to it. If we hear more about him, we'll talk about it. I'll learn his name, but at this point, we're gonna say the Serb's big boss, right? They talk about that. But Diamond ultimately told Tommy, like, with the Serbs, my friend, I know you're trying to collect on that market, but this one, you got to deal with that one on your own, because I want no parts of that, right? So then with Liliana and with Gennard, right? Gennard, like I've been saying, there's a beef brewing between Gennard and Tommy, and it's literally a one-sided beef. Gennard has an issue with Tommy, and at some point he might try to pop Tommy. He was like, "I'll pay you more if you take him out." She was like, "That ain't gonna happen." So then we later see Tommy, right? So Tommy is going to be meeting up with Tatiana and her two henchmen, right? So Tatiana is talking about, she knows that Ghost is dead, right? She asks Tommy, did he do? He says, it wasn't me, right? So then she's talking about Liliana. He's like, yeah, you were looking for me. You were looking for me. You got me, right? You ain't got to worry about Liliana, right? So she's like, well, you took out two of my men, so it's only fair that I get at least a little even, right? So then they were talking, and at one point she was gonna have her guys take Tommy out, right? But then pop, they started getting taken out one by one, and they were taken out by Victor. I was like, okay, this is an interesting turn of events, right? Because I thought that, and it still could happen, right? Because I thought that the beefs were going to be between Diamond and Tommy. Not, why do I keep saying Diamond? Gennard and Tommy, as well as Victor and Tommy, right? But it looks like Victor and Tommy are going to strike. And what could happen with Victor and Tommy is they probably could have a truce at some point, and then once, business has been concluded, that truce can be broken, right? Also going back to Tommy and Diamond, right? They came up with the deal, right? They're gonna do their thing, right? If at one point he said 50, he wanted, half, then he said 50-50, right? So I know that Diamond and Tommy are gonna work together. That's a given, right? They have a bond with each other, right? You can already see it's forming. Tommy has respect for Diamond, and Diamond has respect for Tommy. So Tatiana. Tommy ended up taking Tatiana out as well. And that's really the end of the episode, you guys. Power Book 4 Force, it's kind of a slow start so far, but overall, I'm enjoying it. It's pretty good overall. I'm definitely enjoying Force. Let me know what you guys thought about it. If this review is all over the place, I do apologize, you guys. I'm tired. But hey, like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and until the next time, stay safe, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Remember, wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.